Trigonometry comes from two Greek words, trigonon and metron. Trigonon meaning triangle and metron meaning measure. Together, they are called triangle measurement. Trigonometry is the branch of mathematics that explores the relationship between the length of a triangle, sides, and angles. In this series, we'll be talking about the history and importance, types of trigonometry, applications of trigonometric principles, and trigonometry in the fields of study. The history of trigonometry was used between 1800 to 3000 BCE by the Egyptians and the Babylonians. The Babylonians thought of the triangle as being a part of a rectangle, and they knew the relationship between the long side, the short side, and the diagonal part. They used the sexagesimal angles, which was 60 degrees to 360 degrees, and a table was recorded in the Flemington 322. The Egyptians also knew the relationship between these sides, and that is recorded in the Rhind papyrus, which has some mathematical equations and some designs on how they built the pyramid. They also helped with the improvement of the sexadesimals by separating the circles into 360 degrees. Although the Egyptians and the Babylonians were the first to start the trigonometry, the golden age of trigonometry started between 190 BCE to 120 BCE by the Greeks, but from a name called Hipparchus of Nicaea. Hipparchus was an astronomer, geographer, and mathematician, and he is usually referred to as the father of modern trigonometry because he was the first person to compile a table of chords that was usually used by the astronomers, geographers, and mathematicians of that time. Next up is Ptolemy, who used the concept of trigonometry to observe planetary motion. We then move on to 476 CE to 550 CE. An Indian mathematician and astronomer named Aryabhata discovered the circumference of the Earth and also the value of pi to 4 decimal places. He discovered so many things for his field and is also credited for discovering the sine and the cosine. In 780 CE to 988 CE, two Persian mathematicians completed the modern trigonometry. Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi, an astronomer, geographer, and mathematician, also known as the father of algebra, discovered the tangent. And Abu al-Wafa Buzjani, an astronomer mathematician, discovered the secant, cotangent, cosecant, also known as the trigonometric ratio. There are four types of trigonometry. The first one is called trigonometry, which deals with triangles that have 90 degrees. The data of trigonometry are usually compiled to calculate the height and distance. Next up is plane trigonometry, which is the type of trigonometry that works with triangles that add up to 180. They are usually broken down into three vertices, which are used by mechanical engineers, architects, physicists, and chemists. The third is spherical trigonometry, which deals with triangles that are drawn in spheres. The sum of these triangles are usually greater than 180 degrees and are used to find longitudes and latitudes. This is the type of trigonometry that are used by map makers, astronomers, navigators, and enthusiasts alike. And the last type of trigonometry is a subtype of core trigonometry named analytic trigonometry. It deals with determining values based on x and y planes of trigonometry. These are usually used in electronics and are used to determine the focus of a microphone. Now let us take a look on how the principles of trigonometry are used in our everyday life. The first one will look at tables of natural functions, which are also the same as the core trigonometry. They are used to measure the distance and height of any object. Next up is the circular motion, which are the use of the trigonometric functions. These are very important in physics, which uses velocity, time, and position to determine the motion of objects. This is also used in engineering to build safety. The third that we will look at is harmonic and waves. The harmonic motion and transverse waves or any other waves are used by looking at the trigonometric graph. Looking at the trigonometric graph, we are able to calculate how an object moves in a harmonic motion. This is used by physicists, engineers, and computer graphics. Now let us look at how trigonometry is used in the field of science. We can start by saying that trigonometry was created for astronomy, cartography, and navigation. Looking at the history, we saw that most people who influenced trigonometry was mostly astronomers. Now, in astronomy, they use core trigonometry and spherical trigonometry to study the distance between the Earth and the Moon and the stars and the planetary motions. Next up is physicists, chemists, and biologists who use this type of trigonometry to determine and also explain the phenomenon, reactions, and laws of physics and motions. Last one are computer scientists, electronics, and engineering. They use trigonometry to program the movement of objects, build prototypes, and also declare the boundaries of safety on objects. So next up in our series, we'll build up on our previous knowledge by exploring the very basic tools of trigonometry, which are the trigonometric ratios.